Good morning and welcome to the Eduqas self-learning program which you have signed up for. Welcome to the program. Hopefully this will help you in your studies wherever you are, and the benefits of this program are several-fold. You can work in your own time. Obviously you will be fully supported by me throughout your tuition. The way I support is by marking work, setting assignments, giving resources, giving feedback, using mark scheme criteria, and constantly showing your progress in the actual program of GCSE English in Eduqas. Predominantly at the beginning, it would be important to work mostly on language component 1, language component 2, if you want to study an element of the Eduqas literature program, then that can be accommodated as well. There's no particular time frame for doing this work, and it's all about putting the time in when you can and not having that pressure. Obviously, I've had several people joining this program, so I will thank every one of you for actually giving me some background about yourselves when you start this program. And it's very important I get that, because when you get a student that actually writes something very comprehensive and very well about themselves and their aspirations, it shows they're motivated to learn. And I've had every single student that has written to me, giving me an idea about how they are feeling about English and what they want to achieve in the future is very important. One of the biggest emphasis areas that I want to talk about is that the way we approach GCSE English has to be based on the fact of general knowledge. All of English, should I say, is about people and society. But also it's quite hard for students because a lot of the extracts that you're given are historically based. They can go back as far as the Victorian era and they can come right up into the 2020s. And of course, when you're young, your empathy and understanding of information about what life was like in that period is quite challenging. So it's very important that when you are doing an extract, you read around the extract. You read around it, you read it absolutely intensely. You'll find that all extracts are building the story. They haven't finished the story. It's rare that you might get a short story extract that's completely started and finished by the end. It tends to be much more about building an atmosphere and an environment when it's giving you that information. So reading is critically important, and I'll explain that by just showing the insert and the first page. So I'm just going to put up, right, so I'm just sharing my screen now, and I'm just going to show you the one of the inserts that's really important. So let me just get it up. Okay, so this is actually the paper itself, paper 1 on Eduqas. This one was in 6th of June 2017, 1 hour 45 minutes. Now, the actual time that it says there is there for a reason. It seems like a strange time. I always tend to tell students to work in minutes, not in hours and minutes. When you have a mixed sort of measure, it can be quite complex. But if you look at that, it's 45 minutes. Now, the reason it's 45 minutes is because we're talking about reading time. We're saying there's about 10 minutes reading, but then also there's going to be reading for the questions as well that take time. So that takes up about 15 minutes straight away. So at the end of the day, you're working with about 90 minutes of writing and doing answers. And all the boards focus on sort of different ways of doing things. And Eduqas is like AQA, and it tends to have a section A, which is all about the reading and the extract, and section B, which is writing something creatively yourself. So it's important to understand that on just the question paper alone. So I'll come out of that one, and let's just come back into the screen here. So now if I look at I think this is the resources paper now, it'll show you the extract, which I think is really, really important for students to get into. So let me just show this now. So when you're looking at this, you get information at the start that is given by the examiners to help you into the extract. And it says here the story is about Ruby Lennox, who as a young girl lived above the pet shop run by her parents. She has an older sister called Patricia. So this one is quite relatable. We all understand it, as children, you know, you might have a pet yourself, you might enjoy animals and things like that. So you've got a link with it, it's relatable. But when you look at an extract and it says, you know, that this is an extract, we look at the way the writer paragraphs a great deal. Have you noticed all the paragraphs? Well, when a paragraph is used, it's a shift of focus. So it's important to understand that every paragraph is focusing on something different, and it builds and it builds and it builds. And like everything else in life, you know, you're not going to get all the answers at the start, and you can't make inferences and make factual comments and use evidence before you've read this source really well. And do give a priority of reading on that. So these are the type of things that we have to look at. And you know what I always say to my students now that I'm supporting, that it's really important to time yourself reading. Find out what your reading speed is, but it's not just about reading, it is about understanding what you read. But beyond that, you have to ask questions. And my advice to every student, get your first assignment, and you will get a first assignment after you've gone through this video to get yourself in the frame of it, is to time yourself, find out the pace of reading, and then afterwards, can you write a summary about what your understanding is of the beginning of this extract? And it is a beginning of a story. It's not the end of it. It doesn't conclude necessarily. So it's important to be able to summarize, but ask questions. What, how, and why. And I always say this, that what, how, and why are the three most critical questions to ask, so that you understand what the examiner's expectations are of you. And the questions that follow are related to the skills that I'm giving you now. So a what is this about? You know, so it's at a basic level, what is it about, or what do you think it is about, etc. The how is, how does the writer create that impression? So what, how, so what is it about? How does the writer create the impressions and the pictures that puts in your heads, and what you think, what's the atmosphere like? And the last one that take you into top levels of grading is why. Why has a writer written about something like this? And when you read this first extract, you'll think, my goodness me, it's quite a challenging extract. And why has the writer created this? Well, they do it for a purpose. Remember, everybody does something for a reason, whether it's writing, whether it's painting, whether it's doing poetry. Everyone has a reason. They're trying to either teach, educate, entertain, or inform. Whatever it is, this is what English is about. English is not just a subject. English is a life skill. It is about how we communicate, how we express our opinions about things. And I would say to every student, if you can, when you do some work, for instance, you do something like this, find out, read around the extract and the information that you are given. Find out what sort of era this occurred, and you know what that was like. Everything has to be researched. The more you build your knowledge about life through the ages, the better. I mean, think about this. Look, if you do literature, we're looking at information and creative ideas that are over 500 years old. And of course, life was completely different then. And we have to be able to empathize with that sort of situation. Anyway, this is just an introduction, and I want to welcome you. And as I say, sorry, it's generic to all the students that I have doing this self-learning program, but it is important that I am very pleased when you send me information about yourself and your aspirations. Now the time is that you will not have to rush what you do. Try to embrace each assignment and do it as best you can. And then obviously I will feedback and give you some really good, I'll do some model answers sometimes, I'll rewrite phrases if I feel they could be a phrase better, but I'll base everything on the Eduqas marking criteria. So it really gives you that incredible feedback and show you where you are all the time. And then obviously you've always got me as a fully supported tutor on your side. I will probably do a video maybe once a month if necessary to give you feedback about your first month, etc., and how you're doing personally. Or I will send you just something that is easy to understand and read at that point. For anybody who hasn't started this program yet, there is, at the end of this video, you'll see a link where you can register and get yourself involved as well. I also do with the other boards, AQA, and I do Pearson EdExcel, and I can do IGCSE as well. So there are lots of things I can help students with. The other advantage of this, everything you do is in your own time. And of course, one of the best things that parents will appreciate, that it's very affordable and it's good value for money. Anyway, take care. That's it for now, and welcome to the program. And please do the assignments when you can and get them back to me. You'll find all that information when I email you your first tasks. Thank you very much.